Part 2 of Nash's roundtable discussion is coming up in about 15 minutes. Now we shift our attention to Espanola, where Ryan David Martinez allegedly shot a peaceful demonstrator at the site of the planned reinstallation of a Juan de Oñate statue. New Mexico in Focus correspondent Antonia Gonzalez got a chance to speak with two eyewitnesses to ask how the indigenous community is recovering from the traumatic violence and to give some historical context on what Oñate represents for their people.
Nathana and Janine, welcome to New Mexico in Focus. First, I'd like to acknowledge that the gun violence in itself was traumatizing, and also acknowledge the deep historical trauma that Native people face, but also just how important this discussion is to have. So I want to thank you again for joining us today. And Nathana, you were there. Tell us about the day.
So we were there from the beginning of the day. I was there from the morning. Participated in sunrise ceremony that morning, where many folks from the community led us in prayer and led us in song, and also the victim, Jacob Johns, also led us in a song that morning. Participating in the speaking engagements that day, so I stayed to the peripheral, really kind of taking a look for folks' safety and making note of where folks were at. So some of the other opposition folks, or the folks in opposition, also had started to leave. So the group started getting smaller and smaller. There was two older men, one with a MAGA hat and another older gentleman, was walking along the sidewalk with the shooter. And also alongside of them, it was them three, and then one of my friends. My friends was walking alongside with them on the sidewalk, and I knew something wasn't right. The two gentlemen were alongside of the wall, the bigger wall, stucco wall, along the sidewalk. And I saw the alleged shooter run or try to charge into the space where we were at, which was near the gravel area. And I just saw him take a right. He ran, he tried to jump the wall, he jumped over the wall. And at that point, everybody started just scuffling with him, trying to get him out of the space. And then that's when they had him up against the wall. He flipped over, got flipped over the wall, and then he stood up, and immediately he picked up his jacket and pulled out his gun. And at that point, I just was like, oh, I just cussed. I was like, oh shit, I gotta get out of here. My immediate reaction was to duck, and so I went for cover. I ducked. I came up on the other side of the altar. I stood up, and the first thing that was going through my head was like, where's my partner? Somebody got shot. I heard immediately the cry out for help. I heard the bullet go, the gunshot go off, and I ducked. I went around the corner. I was thinking, if this happen, if he comes around this side, how am I going to protect myself? Where is everybody? And I stood up immediately, and at that point, he was already running to his car and had gotten in his car and was driving off. My partner was running to the car. My partner was recording at the time, and so I immediately ran towards that area. And then at that point, everybody was calling 911. Everybody called 911, and so I called 911, but my phone wasn't ringing, so I hung up and I tried again, and I called 911, and I got through, and they said that they were on their way. And it was just, everything just happened so quickly. It was just awful. It was definitely something that forever is like a life-altering experience.
Well, I'm glad you're safe, and thank you for sharing that. And Janine, you were also there. What has your life been like since the event?
We switched after Jacob was able to get medical attention, which wasn't until 10-15 minutes later. When the paramedics finally arrived, when he finally was able to get the appropriate medical attention, we switched into having to do our own work to ensure that the witnesses were safe, that we're recording witness statements, that we were collecting information from everybody. We even switched to smudging everyone off because, like I said, this was a prayerful event. And we rely very strongly on our medicines and our traditional ways to protect our people. And so I went around smudging people, especially the children and the women that were extremely traumatized, because this is a family event. and people were like, especially the children, were very traumatized by this type of violence being brought into such a beautiful, prayerful, and loving space. And so since then, we don't have the luxury to rest. We've been having to fight a narrative war that has been trying to frame this as if there was some element of danger in our taking a stand and having this prayerful gathering, when really the danger wasn't coming from us. The danger was coming from these right-wing extremists and agitators who felt compelled enough to come armed with weapons, with guns, with knives, and to heckle and harass the gathering of people that were there. And even though police saw this, and even though they escorted Ryan off at one time prior, they allowed him to come back in. And so this was unacceptable, and having to process those things, having to process the fact that they allowed the rest of the agitators to leave the space before an arrest was made, before interviews were taken, all of that I think has really made it hard to feel safe for any of our organizers and any of the people there, despite Ryan being arrested, because it does need to be investigated who he was in collaboration and relationship with, because this was a premeditated hate crime.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I also want to talk about the historical context. Nathana, what does the Oñate statue mean in particular to you, to Pueblo people, to Okeowinge, which the statue was originally next to your community?
For me, Oñate personally represents the brutality that was put up against our people, right? Our Pueblo people, we fought years and decades to really keep the sort of like dismantling of our communities out of our communities. We really have seen through history just the documentation of how the genocide, the cultural washing, or the banning of traditional practices was done by folks that were brought to really colonize our communities. And so Oñate was sort of like the lead in that piece, along with other folks that came before him. And so it was basically to colonize and to convert Native people. And so a lot of our historical documents really state that there was a lot of destruction, there was a lot of violence, there was greed. A lot of our folks were really pushed to convert, and also a lot of just violence against our women, sexual violence, enslavement of our people. And so now it's really trying to figure out, like, knowing that there's this history that exists in our community, and knowing that that we're all sort of in this community together, is how do we really start to grapple with the way that colonization and the way that these folks came into our community years ago, generations ago, and it still lingers here. But how do we really sort of have these conversations of, yes, we are acknowledging history, and yes, history does tell a story of how this impacted our communities. We still carry that.
Janine, Indian Collective advocates nationally, internationally even. So across the country, when there's opposition to, say, Confederate statues, there's often an acknowledgement about that history, including slavery. So why is it that something like this may not be understood more widely in the public, especially when it comes to Native American history?
The lack of education around the true history of this country, and the whitewashing of the education of our general public. Like, we have behind a lot of this right-wing extremism and this white supremacy rhetoric that is rampant throughout our country is this belief that they're the true patriots, they're the true Americans. And it's ironic, because if they really did believe that, you would think they would uphold and understand that the establishment of this country was only enabled through treaties with indigenous peoples. We were never conquered. That's one of those things that those myths of colonial whitewashing of our history that needs to be pushed back upon in every setting. as brutal as these colonizers were, and Oñate represents some of the most brutal crimes of colonization, so much so that the Spanish crown is the one that banished him from this area. They didn't even want anything to do with him. So it's ironic that they want to continue to try to resurrect him as a symbol of what makes them proud to be Americans and New Mexicans even, when even that his reputation is not even accepted or upheld by the country that he was supposedly representing during his conquests. And so, like, when we talk about what we're fighting for and the solutions that Indigenous peoples are bringing to the table, those solutions are enabled by upholding our right to sovereignty and self-determination, rights which were never taken away, but that are embedded in the very constitution of this country as the supreme law of the land. And we need all Americans to understand that, and understand that because of that, we were never conquered. That is why we are still here as sovereign nations. That is why our rights are both like nation rights and collective rights to both our unique spiritual, political, and economic ways of living and of creating systems of governance and systems of community, and why we will continue to push forward and uphold those rights, because they maintain the pathway for real solutions for sustainable, whole, safe communities. And we won't accept anything less. Because we're not just resisting, we're building solutions in our communities. We're bringing solutions in our communities. That our ability to create and support organizers that have a whole breadth of expertise from laws to economics to policies. We know that we have what is needed to help create and craft solutions that benefit not only Indigenous peoples, but all peoples and our Mother Earth. And that is why our fight will never die, and why we will never give up, and why we will continue to persist even in the face of this type of violence, because we do not act out of fear. We do not allow these acts of violence to perpetuate fear in our communities or to perpetuate cycles of trauma, because we come from generations of cycle breakers and of people who have resisted this in all of its brutal forms throughout history to still remain here in our homelands, carrying on these worldviews, our languages, our spiritual and traditional teachings, and we will continue to do so for future generations to come.
Well, thank you for sharing the resilience of Indigenous people and for being here on New Mexico PBS today. Thank you both.